Welcome to episode 28, the episode which we will name after we've done it because we haven't decided on a theme. Thank you for listening or watching. We're being pro this week and we haven't discussed what we're going to say, but we decided to do it at the start. So thanks for following if you already do, or subscribing to the YouTube channel. If you're here by accident, then you're in for a treat. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button. If you're on Spotify, we'll be coming in your ears for at least an hour. So yeah, you can get daily content on Facebook and Instagram at Garage Built Athlete. You can check out any merch like this mint green bad boy that somebody said confused their eyes the other day, which I took as a compliment.
Quite simple.
You can get this at www.garagebuiltathlete.com amongst a host of other sweet stuff.
Smorgasbord, in fact.
Smorgasbord of stuff that I
sweet goods
prepare with my own fair hands, which are really sore and calloused. So
mine is quite sore too.
Yeah, yours is rough.
So you poached that off me then, didn't you? Basically, because that was
you
my
going to do it. Okay.
Yeah, you said you do it. You said you do it. You look after that. Next time when we start, when the lady says, "I am recording," then we jump straight into that. But
I'm gonna
you did a much
write
better
that
job
down.
than I was going to do.
I'm going to write down Matt's turn for the intro.
I liked your one, to be fair. I was quite impressed by it.
I didn't even prep that. I prefer to just go.
Freestyle it. Yeah, I've got to prep it. I'm a prepper.
Prepper.
No, not the cuffer. Doomsday prepper. I don't prep for that. There's no need, is there? If it comes, it comes.
Right, I've written that down.
Oh, we need to do a time check, don't we, as well? So that's like 8:35. Getting all pro. 8:35-ish start time.
We could probably do this bit before we start recording.
And people got to see the reality of making the world's least watched podcast.
But probably longer running than a lot of other podcasts, which are very, very successful. True. So what would you rather have? A short-lived success or a long-running failure?
Well, consistency is key, as we say, isn't it? Number 28, this is. That means 28 weeks, which is over 6 months.
Which seems like the same amount of weeks that Wet, Wet, Wet was at the top of the charts with Love Is All Around back in the 90s.
Mate, that wasn't 6 months. That was like 96 months. I remember that there was a period, wasn't there, where there was a run of number ones in the UK where there were these like super and the Robin Hood theme song as well. That one was at number one for like
Bryan Adams.
An entire lifetime.
It's not worth crying for. Yeah.
That was at number one for like 98 years.
I'm going to Google it whilst we're talking about it. So longest running number one single.
I think I might have got weeks confused with months as well, mightn't I? And actually it was like 96 weeks or something crazy.
You're way off. So Bryan Adams with Everything I Do It For You, 16 weeks.
Okay.
It seemed longer, but a lot of things seem longer when you're little.
Well, yeah, because the percentage of your
Whirlies.
lifetime is much greater, isn't it? Compared to now,
true.
Where I'm just old as a goat.
Wet, 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 Love Is All Around. In my brain, I had the fact, could be a rumor, that Marty Pello requested it to be removed from the charts because he got sick of it. But that would be such a stupid thing to do as a businessman. That was 15 weeks.
Okay, so that's these big numbers. And then what about Meatloaf? The one, do you remember that one? I can't remember how it went. He was at number one forever with it. And it wasn't Bat Out of Hell, though, I don't think, was it? It was some other Meatloaf thing where he actually sang.
Yeah, it would have been Bat Out of Hell. The longest running chart, I've never heard of it, is an American crooner, Frankie Lane, scored his first ever UK number one in April 1953. Just after his 40th birthday. It was called I Believe and it was in the charts for 18 weeks. We're not going to play it because we'll get a copyright claim, but you can Google that yourself. I Believe by Frankie Lane, the longest ever UK single at number 1.
18 weeks. Yeah. So 16 weeks, that really feel like a lifetime.
Yeah.
Because I remember just thinking, well, can't there just be a good song at number 1? Wouldn't that make more sense?
Yeah.
16 weeks later, that bad
Whitney
boy was
Houston,
still
she's
there.
up there.
She was up there. Mariah Carey, she up there? Mr. Blobby, he was up there.
No, I think once you get down into like this, the 8 or 9 weeks, it just becomes
It's just everybody.
Many people.
Chumbawamba,
Tub thumping.
They
I'm
were there.
gonna look up Meatloaf's. Oh, I've got Meatloaf's longest song. That sounds like a nightmare.
No.
Meatloaf's UK number 1.
It was from a film. It was from a film. But I can't remember what it was.
And I would do
That's it.
anything
That
for
one.
love.
That guy.
But I won't
fucking guy.
do that. That's the one.
That was all right, though. I had that on LP. I didn't have it on LP. I had it on a record single. It wasn't LP because that would be long play.
Yeah.
Didn't have that.
Yeah, you had it. Yeah.
That went a bit sideways, didn't it?
I liked it.
I'm due a film refresh. I think tomorrow I'm going to go and see James Bond by Jigger because I thought, well, that looks like a weird colour shake you were drinking there.
I'll tell you about that in a second.
I thought I should actually go out into the public domain.
Did you have to have a negative COVID test or your NHS passport?
I have to get permission to be let out into the wild. Yeah. No, I'm not sure. I guess in theory, technically, you should show your COVID passport thing. I've just got it on my phone.
Yeah.
But the only place they really ask for it is in the hospital, which I've been a couple of times. And tomorrow I'll go again.
Yeah.
I don't know at the cinema. Probably yes.
Yeah.
Saying?
You know that film's like 3 hours long, yeah?
Fuck. Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Check the runtime on it, dude. It's like 196 minutes or something.
What? That's more than 3 hours.
It's something like that. Check the runtime.
3.5 hours.
You're going to need some.
You spoil it for me now.
Some of that original C4 pre-workout, the face itcher. You need some of that. Maybe some snacks.
Not maybe some snacks.
Because they
used
can't
to drink. Oh,
you can't drink
Coke or anything though either, can you? Because
you're
you go to the toilet all the time. Yeah, and 2, you'll knock yourself out, won't you, with the sugar?
You'll need Camel Pack. You'll need one of those rubber rings for when your arse goes numb, because sometimes the cinema seats nicked so good. Don't know what they're like in Austria, but
do you know what I learned this evening? Gar nicht so good, which is like double not so good. Yeah, it's like sehr schlecht is very bad. You can say, if you don't say nicht so good or nicht gut, you can say gar nicht gut, which is like the same as sehr schlecht, very bad.
It's like this shake. It's gar nicht.
Yeah, sehr schlecht. So yeah, okay. Well, I thought I was being pretty cool then, going out, to
it's meant to be really good though.
The young kids, yeah, but 3 hours. What are they going to say in 3 hours that they can't say in 90 minutes?
I heard through the grapevine. So I was talking to somebody who's seen it, and they said that it holds your attention. So that's good.
Bearing in mind my track record with,
they said it doesn't feel like it's that long a film.
Doesn't feel like 196 minutes. It feels like no more than 194 minutes.
Yeah.
Of cinematic experience.
8 minutes of that is credits. I'm going to check.
Well, 20 minutes of it at the start is trailer probably.
I'm going to go to the run time of the film. They don't include the trailer. What's it called? Time to Die.
No idea.
Yeah, Time to Die. Run time. Here we go. Good old Google. 2 hours 43. Sorry, 2 hours and 43.
Okay, yeah, but you're up there, aren't you? You're up there.
I was in the ballpark.
Yeah.
So it's a whole hour longer than Quantum of Solace,
which is pretty cool, and was from memory non-stop mayhem from start to finish. No, that one.
Yeah, I think good one.
That's pretty cool. Well, I haven't been to the cinema. I can't remember the last time I went to the cinema. in, for sure, nearly 2 years, maybe even more.
I went to see Peter Rabbit 2, Kids Club.
Wow, that's
£2.
cool.
It was a good film. It was right.
That the rabbit. I think the last time I went was probably to see Star Wars with you. Maybe that was like my annual Star Wars trip. But my favourite one was to go and see it in the gallery, where you get that non-stop Nacho Fest and drinks and whatever you want, basically, in those massive seats. I was hoping this one would be in one of those old school. Oh no, we went to some. Didn't we go and see something in Yarmouth as well? In the refreshed old school.
We went to Norwich to see the first of the new Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I think I'd already seen it, but then we went and saw it.
Yeah, we went again. Yeah.
And
correct.
we also went to watch it in 3D in Galston Cinema.
Is that right? That's quite the memory you have, isn't it? Yeah, I think you're right, yeah. I like those old school cinemas with the red seats for some reason, even though they're not very comfortable. I just like the ambience.
Like the redness.
Pretty sick.
You like that you can like peel yourself off the armrest and it's sticky floor from all the toffee pops.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like the sticky floor thing. That's pretty cool, isn't it? And then you've been to the cinema when you've got like the remnants of 38,000 buckets of popcorn on your feet. And tip one on the floor for luck. Yeah. So I'm going to do that tomorrow. We're also going to try a Mexican restaurant, but in the end that isn't happening. So we'll do that another day. It looks pretty cool. A Mexican restaurant in Austria.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I think it might be a real Mexican. Or from Peru or something. No, it looks nicht so schlecht.
So fresh.
That looks pretty good. It's good. They do some good, decent tacos. Apparently, they do a really good margarita. I'm not a big margarita fan. Do they? Though?
What about a mojito? Mojito's Mexican, no?
Mojito, I think it's
Cuban,
maybe Brazilian.
Yeah,
maybe Brazilian. I'm not sure. If you know, let us know in the comments. Caipirinha is Brazilian.
To comment.
Mojito. Don't know, mate. Don't know. It's my signature drink. Problem is, if I have a mojito somewhere else, it's never as good as the one that I do. So
this is the problem with the spaghetti carbonara that I had in the little restaurant round the corner from the Trevelli Fountain in Rome. Because
ever since then, you can't find a good carbonara
for me.
Right. Yeah. I think I might have had a spaghetti carbonara in the same restaurant. And that was awesome as well.
I would say it is the best meal I've ever eaten. Wow. Was that spaghetti carbonara.
That's pretty intense.
Blew my mind.
What about it was so good?
When I took a bite, I went, fucking hell, like that.
Oh God.
That's good. Just the first bite.
When I had a headache so bad the other day and I saw that ibuprofen on the table and I was like,
yeah, that was it.
Well, I ate that donut and I was like,
I remember the place was packed, which is always a good sign.
The place was jumping,
and I didn't realize the signs that the bad places are empty at the time. Mm-hmm. So I hadn't made that distinction. So we went.
Looks quiet. Let's go there.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's no queue there. There's a reason. So yeah, we went to some bad places in Rome as well. But this place, I was trying to decide between the spaghetti carbonara and something else, and I asked the waiter, and I said, "What would you recommend? The spaghetti carbonara or the something else?" I can't remember what the something else was now. And he looked at me and he went, "Spaghetti carbonara." And I went, "Okay, go."
He didn't say, "Shut up in your face."
No, he did. He nodded and he really lowered his voice, his tone down, and he convinced me there and then that was the way to go. And that guy was not wrong, but forever has ruined spaghetti carbonaras for me.
I want to go there now. I wonder if it's still open. I wonder if
it's around the corner.
I wonder. It's quite far. It's quite a long drive. Rome is also the location of the street pizza incident. So
yeah,
it's like take the rough with the smooth, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I had a pretty awesome carbonara there. I also had an awesome gnocchi, I think it was, like a gnocchi, or however you would say it in Italian. Gnocchi. Gnocchi. No, I think CHI is key, isn't it? Gnocchi. But like a gnocchi carbonara, which is probably an insult to Italian cuisine, but
maybe
was actually pretty awesome. Super cheesy, super bacony. It's Very good indeed.
Speaking of super cheesy stuff, I don't know. You might not know. No, you've probably not. It's probably not been around since you've been gone. But there's a little street food place called Fat Ted's.
How long was that at number one? Did that make it? Oh, Kelly.
Who is it? Kelly Clarkson.
Kelly Clarkson. Yeah.
There's a little street food place called Fat Ted's in Sheringham.
Teddo.
Yes.
Fat boy.
And they do a variety of things, but one of the things they do is dirty fries. Can you know what dirty fries are? Don't you just you get chips and then they put the stuff on top?
Yeah, but let's just rewind a little bit to the bit where you said you probably wasn't there since you were gone. I haven't been to Sheringham
in 40 years.
Yeah, probably 30 years.
It's definitely wasn't there then.
I'll put it on the list.
And it's one of those places. It's one of those places that they do like 3 things, but they do them really, really well.
Okay.
So they're not messing about with loads of stuff. They just do those 3 things really, really well. And one of those things is dirty fries. And it came with halloumi, hummus, and like an avocado, like guac. And then
I don't know what dirty fries are though. So you'll have to.
It's just loaded fries. It's like chips, and then you choose what stuff you want on top.
Okay, so it's not really dirty. It's more like tasty fries.
It's good fries. And then they sprinkled like parmesan on top, and then they sprinkled some gorgonzola on top, and it was
Jesus Christ,
it was so
Fat
good.
Ted's.
But the fries,
the other 2 things,
the fries on their own would have been
awesome.
They were that good.
Okay.
Chips were that good. The 2 things are you can either have it as a super salad, because I used to, when I was out and about with work, I occasionally went there. So you can either have it as a super salad or a like in a bun / flatbread type thing. But they did the avocado and hummus thing. They did a chicken dish and like a chipotle beef brisket dish. And it's cool.
That's quite a random selection of things, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Sounds good though.
Really
Price? Good.
£4 for a small portion and £6 for a large portion.
Oof, what are we talking? You want large? Are we talking head size?
Large, yeah. Large was large. You would.
Were you thinking I need to go and get some more, or I'm done?
No, you'd be stuffed. You'd be stuffed.
And that's chips only, or chips
with
plus something
with the stuff on top. Let's do it. Chips with the stuff on top, or burger with something, or nachos with the stuff on top. It's like that sort.
Oh my god, they do nachos as well.
Yeah, it's like stick the stuff on the thing.
What on earth?
Fat Ted's.
Fat Ted's. So can we go there next time I come back?
Yeah, buddy.
Why didn't anyone tell me about this before?
I don't know. It's quite a long way from us.
Yeah, I suppose it is. What is that? That's probably.
It's an hour and a bit.
It's a few hours, isn't it?
It's an hour.
An hour?
Hour and 15 on a good run.
We can go to the arcades as well, though, can we?
Yeah. Get to Cromer. Drop your chips on the beach.
Cromer crab. Catch some crabs.
Catch some crabs. Get crabs.
In the sea. Get crabs, yeah.
Get crabs. Get crabs.
Sounds good.
But they've got some really nice coffee places there as well. So I can do a little coffee
tour. You know me.
I'm off
that. Actually, I'm back on that a little bit. Yeah, but I'm back on it a little bit because I've been doing some learning, some listening and learning about learning, and about. I've got into a bit of a habit of trying to do multiple things at once, and then over time I've realised that doing multiple things at once, you can do one of the things okay, but then the other thing there's not really any point doing it. Like trying to listen to a podcast while I'm training, which I thought was a pretty cool idea. And I catch some of it, but I wouldn't catch all of it.
Yeah.
And then the thing that we were talking about the other day, where you're watching a YouTube video where actually reading the comments and you don't pay attention to anything. I mean, pointless reading the comments. So I was listening to one of these Huberman Lab podcasts, which is super, super cool. This PhD neurologist from Stanford, super cool podcast. And the first 6 podcasts, I think, are about learning and about the brain and neuroplasticity in the brain. So I was listening to those. And it's really obvious when you think about it. But he said, yeah, a critical point to learning is to pay attention. Because I was wondering, why am I not taking some of these things in? Like I'm watching this video and I'm not really retaining it. I'm reading this book and I'm not really retaining it because I wasn't paying enough attention to it. Yeah. I was just reading the book, because I can read a book and not remember something on a page because I'm not actually like actively paying attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just made little changes to some things. Stopped doing the two things at once thing. So I stopped listening to a podcast while I'm training. I put it on, but I'm not listening to it just for background noise. So actually I could put music on.
That's why I like to listen to music. Yeah.
Well, it makes a lot of sense now thinking about it, because you don't have to think about it. It's just there, isn't it? So it's just like a pleasant environment. But I was thinking, well, I'm kind of wasting my time, that I could be listening to that podcast as well, which would be a good thing to do because I'll learn something and I can train at the same time. But I wasn't actually learning anything because it was just like noise in the background. And it might as well just be noise in the background then.
And then you might go back to trying to listen to that podcast again, and you'll feel like, oh, I've already listened to this. Why am I doing this again for?
Well, that's what I've done a few times. I've been like, I thought listen to some of this. And I have, but I listen to like pieces of it, like when I'm not actually trying to concentrate. Do you know what I mean? So
and if you listen to music that you like, that'll lift your mood. Does that make you feel good?
So well, it's all linked together, isn't it? Yeah, it's all linked together as well. All the mood thing and the training and like that, or when it all stacks together, and then you wonder like why in certain periods you're able to learn and certain periods you don't. I think when you start to get all those things right, like diet and training and paying attention and not trying to do multiple things at once, and then you think, oh yeah, I actually made some progress there. It's because there's a bunch of triggers that you need, especially when you're an adult, to actually like drive a learning process and drive neuroplasticity in your brain. So to rewire your brain and actually learn something new. Super interesting. And part of it as well is needing to learn the thing. So like with German, now I have to convince myself that I really need to learn it, which I do, but also pay attention. And apparently a cool thing to do is learn something difficult related to motor skill before you're going to try and learn something related to knowledge.
Yeah.
Because if you try and learn something related to motor skill and get it wrong, so as a good example, if you can't juggle and you try and juggle, your brain triggers neuroplasticity when you make mistakes and get frustrated, and it sends a chemical signal so that your brain then remodels itself to correct the little errors that you're making. So if you try and juggle or do something new before you then try and do some knowledge learning, your brain is already in the state to learn new things, and then it absorbs the new knowledge easier.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool. So I might try that next time with the juggling, because I can juggle, but I can never juggle 4 balls at the same time. And the bit that triggers the learning of the motor skill is the bit when you get it wrong as well. So you have to get it wrong for like 7 minutes to 30 minutes apparently. And just the trying over and over again and getting frustrated releases this chemical, which makes your brain want to learn. And then after that bit, you've done that bit of learning, your brain is ready to learn more things. It's pretty cool. But you can only do little bouts of that at once, apparently. You can only do like 60 to 90 minutes in one hit. And then most adults apparently are only good at learning, like a period of one learning period in a day.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're a kid, that's why I was thinking, well, why do kids have so many lessons at school in a day? Because they can do lots of learning at once. And the brains are really neuroplastic, so ready to learn, which is super cool, super interesting.
Did you find out the answer to if you are in charge of your brain or if your brain is in charge of you? Did you get to the
that? Came up on that podcast, and I thought that's funny because we talked about that. I think, and we talked about this as well, didn't we? Because I was reading the Chimp Paradox book as well, which is like my favorite book ever about psychology. And in there's basically like these 2 parts of your brain. There are almost 3 parts they talk about. So they talk about the frontal lobe, and then I get the names wrong. It's like frontal, limbic, and parietal, I think. So you've got like the chimp, the human, and the computer. So there are 3 parts. And I think you are controlled by your brain, but you can also use your brain in a particular way if you're aware of what you're thinking. So the way it works is basically everything goes to the chimp first. So like the frontal part of your brain, like the, I guess it's almost like the prehistoric part, like the fight or flight reactionary part that relies on your like
the lizard brain,
evolutionary trait. Yeah. If it gets there and the chimp doesn't know what to do, it looks in the computer, which is the things that you've learned before about your past experiences. And depending on whether it sees danger or not, it can go to the human. So there's different pieces in your brain, I think, in the end that control what you do, because your body isn't controlling anything else, is it? It's your brain basically that sends the signal, but you can decide, depending on the situation of what you've learned before, which part of the brain you use and therefore which reaction occurs. But as well, it was saying in that book that sometimes you have to let that chimp reaction go and run its course. Otherwise, you get super frustrated and then you start feeling just generally bad. Like psychologically, that's you can't like suppress that all the time and try and stay calm all the time. You have to let the chimp go with someone safe, get all your emotions out, and then you can come back and deal with the rest of it with the human way if you can recognize that you're not reacting in an appropriate manner. So yeah, I think brain controls the rest of it.
There's a few things that I took from that book that I really liked, and one of them was that your human goes to sleep at 11 o'clock and doesn't wake up till 7 o'clock in the morning. So it's a bad idea to make decisions between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. because the monkey is in charge. And that's why in the middle of the night, if you can't sleep, you just go fucking raging because the chimp is just going,
why can't I sleep?
Yeah. And the human's like, well, and just turn the computer off. And I also like one thing that really helped me not get as frustrated at work was changing the way I thought about what people should do to what they could do. So if I thought that person should have read that email and done what it said, I then go, well, actually, they could have read that email and done what it said, but they didn't, and that's out of my control. So no big shakes to me.
And I think he also applies it to you, doesn't he? There, where you can apply that to yourself and say, I should do this, but actually it's more a case of I could do this. Like I can choose if I do this or not. Yeah. Rather than putting some super amount of pressure on yourself to say that I should have done this, like no questions asked, and I didn't, so therefore I'm a bad person. The other option, like you say, is I could have done that, but I didn't because I chose to do something else. Yeah, that's super cool. But there's so many sections in it. The model is really cool.
Speaking of
different planets and
speaking of super cool books, you said that you wanted Atomic Habits for your birthday. And I was going to get that for your birthday, and it's not yet, so it's an early birthday present. So
okay.
Is that the one?
Yeah, that looks like it. Okay, yeah,
well, here you go, mate.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Happy birthday!
My birthday book.
Is it in English? Because I was worried about that.
That's a good question, actually.
I think it is. I ordered the English version, but I ordered it from
you just
Amazon.
Passed it to me from there,
Germany.
Did you buy it in English?
Yeah, I didn't open that.
It is in English, but yeah, I was thinking that actually when I opened it. I was thinking, oh, that'd be interesting if it's in German. But it looks super interesting from the podcast because I think I was talking to Becky about it. I think, and she was saying that it was a little bit American. No offense, American, but we're not really so into the high fives and that in the UK. But when I watched the podcast, I thought, well, this all sounds. He seems like a very structured thinker, and this is all pretty logical and makes a lot of sense. It's not like a rah. You can do it. Anybody can do it. But it seemed quite practical. So pretty.
That's more. That to me is more like a manual rather than like a motivational speaker trying to sell books. That's like here's a template of things that have worked for me, and I have then gone out to organizations like, whatever businesses and people that he works with, and then they've applied it, and that's the results that they've got. And he talks about like the British cycling team and their little 1% improvements that got them from winning nothing for like 40 years to then dominating the sport. And there's multiple sports references about teams that focused on their habits and changing very small things to get to a success, and like contracting and things like that. It's pretty good.
It's super interesting that about the sports teams, because in all of these books they all talk about the British cycling teams. They must have just gone all over trying to find it, because the sleep book that I've got, that it's not Matthew Walker, it's Nick
that would have
Little
been
Hayes.
They looked at their mattresses and all that kind of stuff.
Sleep guy.
Yeah.
That's in that book. And then also the Chimp Paradox book, I think, doesn't maybe talk about the cycling team, it definitely talks about the rowing team. So it's amazing, like the effect of psychology. And that was super interesting that they were talking about like the sports side of that in all of those books, really. But yeah, the Chimp Paradox, super cool.
Yeah,
because this one I'm pretty stoked to read about.
I think at one point, like the British cycling team they got ditched by like bike manufacturers wouldn't let them ride their bikes because they were that bad.
No way.
Yeah,
didn't know that story.
I'm sure, and yeah, that'll be in that book somewhere, and that'll be that. It's good. They talk about all the really small things that they changed.
Because this is this 1% a day thing, isn't it? That's where that comes from. That people are putting on their posts and stuff.
And I'm sure there's a basketball team that he talks about as well as a basketball coach, and he talks about career best effort, which is they take their stats and all they ask them to do is like improve like 1% on all of their stats in that next year, and then you've got a career best effort, and then they just stack them and it's compound. And he talks about like the effects of compounding, which I know we like from looking at Intelligent Investor and all that kind of stuff, and the impact that it can have when you stop compounding. So like the reference here was in when he's talking about working out. So if you have a bad session, that in effect keeps the compound going. Whereas if you don't show up for that session, it is like taking all your money out because you're not rolling it over. So if you then don't, like, it's not keeping the compounding going because you're breaking the habit. And that was quite a cool little reference in that book.
I'm not sure it's actually like taking all your money out, is it? But I get the connection.
So
especially if you then stop, because this is exactly what's happened to me now. Is like if I could have just kept training a little bit for these 6 weeks, I would have probably made a little bit of progress. But actually what's going to happen now is this is going to set me back 12 probably. Not ideal. So what is that then you're drinking there? What is that slime?
Greens.
I thought it was green. I thought it looked green enough.
I mean, it looks black on there, but it's greens.
Mine looks really dark.
And protein powder and water.
Greens and protein powder and water. Do you know the one? Well, I was going to say that it tasted quite nice, but it didn't taste nice.
That tastes like a swamp?
Basically. Well, the greens powder straight does taste like you're drinking out of a lake, doesn't it? Basically.
Have you ever tried to eat it? Like,
no, mate, you're sick. No, have you?
Well, sometimes if you're shaking up a protein shake, like you get like a little. It's almost like forms like a little protein bomb.
A little dry
bomb.
Yeah.
So I had that with greens one time.
Oh my God.
And it sat on the top, and I think it might have been like in the spout of the shaker as well. So there's this little bomb in the spout of the shaker. So when I drank it and I sucked it into my mouth, it just completely coated the inside of my mouth with like a grass, like a lawnmower box paste. And it's like grass. It was just like,
Jesus,
that was awful.
And it's not even like you can have some water to take the taste away, because then when you drink the water, it tastes like the greens shake mixed up muck. Oh my God.
I think we should eat green shit all in your mouth.
I think we should dry scoop it live next time.
We wouldn't be able. We'd have to do it at the end of the podcast because you can't talk.
Yeah, okay, we'll do it at the end. Oh God, I
don't even want to do it. Greens everywhere.
I feel ill. I've got some. I had one once, some time ago. I bought it because I have some greens, because I got on really. I don't know if it was the greens when we were training for MMA moons and moons ago.
Yeah.
And my diet was on, like properly on. I was training and everything. And I don't know if it was the greens actually was a big benefit, or if it was just a combination of all the things in a good diet and blah, blah, blah. But it felt very good. And I managed to finish all that off. And I managed to make it like palatable to have one of those greens drinks, because I think I mixed it with, I think it was like
frozen fruit,
some blended frozen fruit, some yogurt, some greens.
Yeah.
And something else. It tasted super weird, man.
That was the Grappler's Guide to Nutrition. That was that diet.
Yeah.
Because I had the same.
But it tasted pretty good. Yeah. And then sometime later, I tried to do the same thing and bought some greens, but the greens actually tasted okay straight in the greens. I was thinking, well, this isn't the right stuff. It tasted sweet. I was like, well, this isn't real greens. This should taste like licking an alligator's butt or something. It's not real greens if it tastes all right. Not at all. I've gone completely random there, dude, about greens. What was I going to say?
Well, I mean, I've got a segue onto drinks if you're struggling. Yeah, okay. So,
no, I'm not struggling. I'm writing things down.
Yeah, cool.
I've got other topics, but we're randoming onto greens.
I should have talked about this when we were on food and drink earlier on. It's like Trivial Pursuit, isn't it? Different categories. I wanted to tell you just a quick story about a coffee that I had, which I now realise how much of a coffee snob I am.
You knew that though. That's not new news, mate.
Yeah, but this took it to a new level. So I was on the hunt for a coffee, and the place I wanted to go to was closed. So went to a couple of other little places, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go check out this one. And what I like to do is I like to look at the menu to see what coffees they serve. And then I also look at the machine and I look to see what beans they've got. And the first one I went to, it had like a big bag. It was like Lavazza beans served here. And I'm like, that's nothing to brag about, guys. To put the sign away.
Just turn that around.
Might as well be
hide it somewhere.
Nescafe served here. So for some reason, people like to brag about Lavazza beans.
Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it? Is it a brand
that
we should be impressed by?
I think if you're used to drinking like instant coffee, then Lavazza beans would be a step up from that. But I've gone beyond that. I've gone beyond that. So I didn't go there.
Are we scraping the bottom of the barrel with Lavazza beans then? Are they fundamentally bad beans or?
No, I think they're all right. I think if you can get somebody who can actually make a coffee with that, you'll be all right. But when you put people who can't together with that bean, it just, to me, that then the brand is then damaged. And I've experienced
coffee snobs heaven
a few times. Yeah. So I didn't go to that one, and I went along to the next one, and I hadn't been to either of them before. And I had a little look, and on the outside they had, a nice menu. There was a nice graphic of what the drink is made up of, which I like. So it's got like cappuccinos will have like espresso, steamed milk, and then foam, and then I'll have like cortado, and what's it made up of. I was like, okay, these guys are going to know what they're doing. They've got the graphic, they know what's going on here, they know what a macchiato is. I'm in safe hands. I'm in safe hands here. Played it ultra safe, went for a cappuccino because
everyone can make a cappuccino.
That's what you get.
Yeah.
And I ordered, and then the woman started making it and grinding the beans. I was like, good. And it's just putting the old tampon, yeah, nice. Put it in. I was like, yeah, this is pretty legit. As the shot was pulling from the machine, I had a little look around the little shop, and up the top shelf was a box. And guess what was written on the box?
Well, I'm guessing either Lavazza or Nescafe.
Lavazza beans. I was like,
shit.
Oh, fuck's sake! I just avoided that. I just sidestepped that in the last place. And then, so she's frothing the milk. She's steaming the milk. She's getting a good froth on the go. And she gets my cup and she gets the milk. And then she pours a little bit of milk. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. Out comes the palette knife, scoops foam on a palette knife, and like wipes it on the top of my thing.
Oh,
and then says, would you like chocolate on top? I was like, yeah, what else are you going to put on there? I wanted to take. I just wanted to take it. I wanted to pick that drink up, and I could barely pick it up because it was so fucking hot. So I picked the drink up, and all I wanted to do was look her dead in the eye and just pour it on the floor. The cutback. I was enraged that she got a palette knife. It's not hard to get foam from a milk jug into a cup. You don't need a fucking palette knife.
What? Like a painter's palette?
Yeah, like a big, like what you would use to smooth icing on a cake.
Or plaster.
Yeah, I was just like, and then I couldn't drink it for about 15 minutes because she boiled the milk. And I was just
nice. It tasted pretty good then. So, what's the lesson there then? if they have to draw a picture of the coffee so they understand what it is, don't go in. Maybe you should have trusted the other Lavazza bean. Why didn't you like the other bean? Just because it was Lavazza beans, you didn't like it because of the beans?
I like to find the little places that have got like they're roasting bean, or they're grinding beans from like local roasteries or something, because that to me, you know about coffee. If you've done your if you're going to call yourself East Coast coffee and your thing is coffee,
other coffee is available.
Yeah, you should at least try some like actual proper local, independent coffee roasters to find beans that you really like. I mean, they might really like Lavazza, but to me, that's just lazy. You haven't done your research.
I mean, they might really like Costa Coffee beans.
I've got a coffee archive of beans that I've tried, and I narrow it down to like the ones I really, really like. So that when I go back to if I go to a coffee place, I can say, oh, what beans have you got? And then I'll have a conversation about it, because they should be into coffee, really. Like if they are serving it, and you think you could do that. I did that with there was a guy at the Mammoth Power competition, Dean's Beans, and
Dino.
Dean's Beans, and he was there doing coffee for everybody, which was good. And
it's not the guy we went to on the seafront, though, is it?
That's Barista Boy. And and Dean's Beans he's converted like a VW Caddy.
Yeah, the little golf pickup thing.
Stuff in the back. Might not be a Caddy. It's like a Polo van.
Yeah. He's a golf fan, I think.
Yeah, a golf fan. And then he's opened the doors up, and he's got his machine in the back and all of his stuff and his menus on the side. And I said, "Oh, what beans have you got?" And he said, "Oh, I've got my own blend, and it's a couple in Norwich that do it, and they only do it for me, and that's the beans that I've chosen." I was like, there we go. And the company in Norwich is called Give It Some Beans, which I really like.
Oh, just winning all around here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Dino Bino, and Give It Some Beans.
Giving it some beans.
But coffee bean prep, do they grow the bean and then dry the bean? I thought all that and the roasting and everything was done at the coffee
farm, at the grower.
Yeah, at the farm.
I think they dry.
Because in the old school way, they dry them
the beans in
they like dry them out on the roof, don't they? Because they're white, aren't they? The beans.
Green, red, green. The
berry is maybe red.
Red.
The berry is red. Yeah, but the bean is inside.
Yeah,
and I think
they're green. I think they start off as green.
Okay.
Possibly, but they might turn to. But yeah, they might turn a different color when they dry out, and then they come to the roasters, and then the roasters will then do their whatever they do, and they'll blend. If they're doing a blend, if they're doing a single origin, whatever, and then they package it up as their own coffee and sell it on. But yeah, I think
the roasting bit is what gives it the flavor on top of the particular bean, I guess, where it's grown. Yeah. It's a mix of things.
Yeah, and like the time that they roast it for, if it's a light roast or a dark roast, and the temperature and all that kind of stuff.
And that doesn't change the caffeine in it, does it? Just change the flavor of it.
I think that a lighter roast has more caffeine than a dark roast. That's my understanding.
Okay, so the roasting time takes some caffeine out for some reason. Just the heat, maybe.
Burn that off. But I'm more into the drinking than the roasting. I know what I like. I like something a bit special. When I stick my nose in the bag, I like to go. If I just smell it and it just smells like coffee, I'm like,
smells like Costa Coffee.
It's like, ooh.
Well, I suppose maybe you're overthinking a little bit on the East Coast coffee, because maybe they just meant the location rather than they are producing their coffee on the East Coast. Maybe
they were on the
East
Coast. They were on the north
and they give
East
coffee.
Coast, and it was coffee.
Northeast Coast coffee reseller.
I'm not in a rush to go back.
You could try the other one though, couldn't you? Maybe they've got other.
The first one, yeah. I mean, if I could throw a $5 in the bin as well.
No, don't do that though. You might as well
just waste it on coffee.
It might be a good coffee.
It might be.
$5 though, mate. That's a bit. Might as well just make it yourself. Did you teach Mum how to do it the other day? Didn't you?
Yeah. Showed Mum.
Pretty cool.
Showed her how to do it. She was
walnut whip coffee.
She liked it. She was like, "Oh, it's easier than I thought." So yeah, It's not that easy, but
She was nervous.
You had
she was a bit nervous about the settings and grind, pressure, temperature.
Yeah.
Probably boring the life out of everybody now. I'm a bit loud in my own ears, not you.
She had step-by-step instructions. Well, there could be people who are really into coffee watching this. I like the style.
Maybe 2 or 3 of the 17 who are watching it are into coffee.
Yeah, maximum 17, because some people might watch it twice if they're really fucking bored. True.
If you are one of those maximum 17 and you haven't hit like or subscribe, do that, because you clearly haven't got anything better to do.
Yeah.
So do that.
Yeah, but the good thing is that you'll be able to focus because there's never any comments, so you don't have that worry about that on our videos.
Think about what we do for you there. In fact, we could turn the comments off, because then it would look like we're so popular that we have to do that.
Yeah, we've stopped.
But
comments
actually,
happening. We
can just say we're doing you a favor because we stopped the comments.
We're helping productivity in
global
GDP.
In a week, I think, of doing that, my ability to focus has changed completely. It's crazy. Just paying attention. Can't believe it's taken me so long to realize that, to be honest.
Oh yeah. But if it's something you really don't want to do, then it's so easy to procrastinate, isn't it?
No, but it wasn't that really. It wasn't that it was something that I don't want to do, because I would still do the things. I just noticed that I wasn't really able to focus for very long, and I'd just be like, oh, I'd just like to jump from one thing to another or whatever. But yeah, it wasn't really that. It's more that I just was struggling to concentrate, and I couldn't really work out why until I listened to those podcasts. And I was thinking, well, yeah, if you don't actually pay any attention to the amount of attention you're paying, and to try and like actively not switch your attention, then of course you're going to jump between one thing and another. It will, after the event, it all makes sense, doesn't it? Like you're not learning because you're not paying attention. It's like, well, yeah, of course, that makes a lot of sense. But
I feel like 50 minutes in, we need to talk about training.
Oh God, training. What do you think we are? Some sort of,
or at least
semi-athletes working out in some sort of appendage to the side of the house?
At least exercise.
Okay.
I went to the Mammoth Power Comp. I represented Garage Built Athlete, and there are some very strong people walking around, like people opening lifts in under 90 kilo categories at 260 kilo deadlifts and 140 kilo benches. It was sick.
Ouch. That's very strong.
Good. Yeah, and they live streamed it all day, which is cool. So on Facebook they had the live stream. And one of my friends from CrossFit competed his first competition, and he pulled more than he thought he was going to. He wanted to get 195 kilos on a deadlift, and he went for 200, and he got it. So that was good. And then my other friend who was there to support him, like his handler, because people have handlers, don't they? Coaches and handlers when they go to these meet. Like,
and you were handling?
Rob? No, I wasn't. It was my other friend Chris. He was there with Rob. So Rob Thornton, powerlifting. I can't remember his Instagram handle. Just look up Rob Thornton and you can see his lifts. And Chris Hemsley was helping him out. Chris is a good guy.
Hemsley? Or Hemsley?
Hemsley. I always say Helmsley, but it's Hemsley. Okay. Yes, my bad. So he went there to just obviously support him and watch him and cheer him on, and I was there cheering everybody on. And now Chris wants to do the ABPU, so the Amateur British Powerlifting Union qualifiers in January, which are being held at Mammoth, which is really cool for the area, because you don't get that stuff happening in this area. And they had to jump through a lot of hoops to get that. Like, you have to have calibrated plates and 2 monolifts and heating and air conditioning and enough space for this and enough that for that. And they really you have to have a lot of boxes checked to be able to host one of those qualifiers. And that should hopefully bring more people into the area. And it's the push-pull competition that they did, I think, has ignited some interest in the sport, especially with like people from the box were, talking about Rob doing it, and they wanted to know how he got on. And then Chris now wants to go to the January one, and Rob's going to the January one, and all this kind of stuff. So it's just created a little bit of momentum.
Well, it's quite a little community of strength training there, isn't there? Because you've got Top Body with a bunch of strong guys in there.
Yeah.
Bear Barbell is there.
Yep.
CrossFit Gym is there.
Yep.
Mammoth is there.
Yep.
There was another one.
Iron
another
Warehouse.
Stuff. Yeah, John at Iron Warehouse. Yeah.
John and the boys.
It's pretty
and girls.
Awesome, really, around there. I'd like to do that ABPU thing as well. I don't know what the result of this is going to be, I suppose, at the moment. Let's see.
I think you have to join the British Powerlifting Union. I think you have to be a member.
But you have to join that one.
Yes.
They have ABPU and they have BPU. And ABPU is drug tested
free.
or drug free.
Drug free, and BPU is drug, whatever drugs you want.
Well, yeah, because they don't drug test basically. So you can do drugs or not.
Yeah. And they do drug. The last one they had, I was talking to Katie Cornish, who basically organises the powerlifting stuff with Jamie Wilgoss, who they sort of organise and run the Mammoth Power Gym. And she was saying that a few of their people got tested on the day of the last comp that they did there, because they previously had a qualifier there as well. So now they're coming back to do another one, which is good. So yeah, I think they tested 2 people because it's expensive.
Yeah, I guess they just randomly test, don't they? So you turn up, knowing that you could get randomly tested.
They test the people that look like shaved gorillas in the ABPU category, I think.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
There's some big.
Actually, the numbers are quite achievable in there, which makes sense.
Like if you start looking at masters, adaptive athletes like yourself.
Yes, please. So that's talking about competition. That's not really talking about training.
Well, people trained for that competition and they did themselves proud.
Oh, by G.
Very good day.
That was cool, though. It was super cool. All the pictures were cool as well, and the t-shirts look cool, and the posters look cool.
Yes,
good.
Yes, and it was quite good because I went through on the GarageBit athlete page and I was looking for on the day I was trying to tag people, but I couldn't find their handles and all this kind of stuff, and I didn't quite know their names. So afterwards, I just went through and Mammoth Power reposted a lot of people's posts and stories who were there, which is obviously really good. So I then went in to say, like, congratulations, you've done a really good job and all that kind of stuff, and just engaged with a lot of the people that were there, because there were some really strong guys and girls there. There was a 16-year-old called Izzy Semper who competed there. And she was awesome, man. She was so good. And she went there with her dad. I can't remember the guy's Instagram handle, but something to do with
the ginger bearded Viking or something like that.
And basically he looks like
the real
an
ginger
extra
Viking,
out of
a ginger bearded Viking,
Lord of the Rings. Like, he's awesome looking guy. And and he competed, and his daughter was competing. That was so cool to see that.
That was his first competition, wasn't it?
Both in the same competition.
She literally just come straight up. Izzy Simper 008.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah, 16 years old. She was crushing.
Yeah, her dad is a proper Viking-looking dude. The real ginger Viking. He is. If you want to check him out, placed third in the over 100 kilo open men's. That's his first powerlifting competition. He's a lump, though, dude.
I think he was suffering from some injuries. He said in his post, he said, played it a little bit safe. But,
he's a big dude.
He's a big dude.
Got traps.
He's got a spread, man. That guy is massive.
It's a serious
he's
trap,
as tall as he is wide. He's big, big dude.
That's the ideal ratio, isn't it?
Yeah, and there was a guy called the guy who was like opening at 260 deadlift in the under 90 categories. Which under 90 kilo insane. Was Hayden Wiseman, and I couldn't find his handle on Instagram, but if you look him up, he's Eric Matter, who's a pretty successful powerlifter. He's coaches a lot of people around this area, and that was one of his guys. And man,
he's
another level.
He was at the World Championships this year, didn't he? Come in
maybe seventh
or something like that.
Yeah,
and so he coached Jake as well, no? Who was at the competition. High Bar Highlander, I think he coaches him.
Yeah, definitely does. Yeah, something.
And I think he coaches
a little group of people there.
Another one of the Garage Built athletes. I want to say Lana, who's got the tiny little garage gym.
So that was really good, and I want to do more of that kind of stuff, because I think that's really important to get into the
Super cool,
community and get known a little bit more, support people where we can.
We should go to that qualifier.
Yeah.
If we can.
Yeah.
Okay. Be cool to compete in that.
Yeah, well, I pulled 181 kilo deadlift for a double today, and I did not like it.
Yeah, that's today. It's not January. As well, you're doing a mix of things as well, aren't you, at the moment? So you have to sort of narrow it down a little bit to the powerlifting if you want to have a proper go at that in January, or if you don't want to have a proper go, you don't do it, but we go anyway and see what's going on, support the people, take the garage bill.
I like to sit behind the live stream and go, yeah, buddy.
Yeah, we could hear you, dude. Good to hear. That was cool. I was getting hyped up in here cooking my dinner.
Like my yeah. I was
cheering. No one could hear me.
I was good. It's great because they had a screen at the back with their names on, so I didn't know the guy. I was going, "Let's go, Pete! Let's show Pete! Come on, Pete!" Yeah,
wake up, Pete! Come on now, let's go.
Yeah,
come on, Pete.
And in other training news, you know, my squat session that got in my head because I hurt myself. I did it. I went back to it and I finished it. I overcame it.
It was okay, huh?
It was okay.
Your lat stayed on.
Yeah, but I really couldn't brace. I thought if I brace how I normally brace, this thing is just going to go again. So I braced into my stomach, like really low down, like into my gut, rather than like up and back. Yeah, it was basically that was it. I was like, just use your legs and use your glutes. Don't brace anything above your waist, basically. And that's how I got through that.
There's no brace then. No brace. Oh dear.
I felt like, sorry to interrupt.
Right.
Just finish off my story.
Finish your story.
I really didn't want to do it because I was nervous about hurting myself again. But I took my time and I was really cautious with it, which isn't always fantastic because then you're just thinking about it too much and overthinking it. But the relief I felt when I got it done and the satisfaction of finishing the whole session and doing the 3x8 assistance work set stuff, I felt so good afterwards. I was just like, thank fuck I did that, got that, and I can now move on. Yeah, that would have just been hanging over me for if I'd have just let that go or just stopped doing the block altogether.
Yeah,
I would have felt.
But worse. What did you do? You didn't finish the other session, and then the next session you did was the squat session, or you did a bunch of other stuff and came back?
So the week when I hurt myself was a Saturday. So I didn't finish the session, so I stopped on the first work set, and then I did just basically CrossFit stuff. I did the engine class and the weightlifting class over at T800, and I had 2 rest days as well.
You said you did 8 sessions or something last week.
Yeah, that was 8 sessions, but that included like I would do say my powerlifting squat session, and then I would do like the workout from the CrossFit session, like a little bit after I'd done that, and then I'd go away and do some work, and then I come back and do some like clean and like squat clean stuff. So as that would be like 3 sessions because I did like 3 different things. But yeah, it was 8 in total. Like I did the engine class, which was rowing, and then afterwards I did the weightlifting technical class. So that was like 2 sessions. So yeah.
Okay,
it wasn't a massively...
sessions. You said sessions to me. That's a session, isn't it? So
yeah,
it's a session.
Yeah, so it wasn't a massively heavy week because I wasn't doing any powerlifting. So I basically had a week off powerlifting, and then I went back to the squat session to finish off that week of the 3s, and I've now started my week of ones.
With the deadlift. So you got 2 on the deadlift.
I've overhead pressed and I've deadlifted. Yeah,
180 for a double is pretty cool, isn't it?
Sorry, 181. Very important.
Yeah, I haven't got fractional plates, so it's either 180 or 182.
You know what was worse than the 181 for a double?
182 for a triple.
For 3 sets of 8 at 143 afterwards.
Yeah, that's nice, mate. That is.
God, I literally felt like my back was going to just go. Rinsed.
I've messed up all the numbers on this.
So I got it done.
Very good. I started doing a little bit of training again. Yeah, I started doing a little bit. I did. What did I do? Because I basically was wiped out the first week. How many weeks are we out now of this? 2? I crashed on the Sunday, was in the hospital Monday night.
Well, this is the
Tuesday
third
went in.
podcast,
surgery.
isn't it? Third
Wednesday.
podcast we've done. Because you were drugged up on the first one, in a cast on the second one.
So
and now
that's
you've got
1 week.
Is that a new fancy cast, or is that?
It's not really fancy. It's just the same, but it's clean.
Smaller?
It's a little bit smaller, yeah. Because the other one was wrapped with a bandage on the outside because the other one was split down the center.
Yeah.
For some reason. So then they wrapped it with a bandage. But this is huge. Well, I can take this off as like a glove. So tomorrow I'm going to go back and they're going to give me a plastic one because I said, I can't do anything basically at home with this. Like I can't. It's stupid to have a shower and like put a plastic bag in my hand every day and then take a plastic bag off and throw it. So I'm like throwing a plastic bag away every day to have this thing on. And then I can't wash the dishes or anything like that. It's just stupid. Mm-hmm. So I said, can I have something else? There must be some better technology that exists in the world than this for the solution of holding my thumb in one position. And they were like, no, there's nothing. I was like, well,
this is cutting edge.
Yeah, no, there's nothing available. I said, are you sure? I said, well, we recommend you keep the cast on. Yeah, okay. Well, then she sort of like crumbled a little bit. It's like, well, I'll call the doctor. I'll see what he says. So she calls the doctor.
But she got in trouble for that. But
well, yeah, she's like,
what you call me in
he's
for?
Complaining, saying he can't wash the dishes and like he lives on his own, so he can't really do anything. And I was like, okay, see if that works. And then she came back and said, yeah, we can give you a splint. So basically just like something to hold it. But you have to say it was your idea, basically. And I was like, well, yeah.
So they can't sue them if it goes wrong.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And I was like, well, yeah, if I can take it off just to do stuff like that, then if you trust me to do it, then that's fine. Like I know I don't behave like an adult all the time, but I am an adult, so I will behave if you give me that splint. And then it turns out that they're going to give me this like thermoplastic molded thing for my thumb, so I don't even have to take it off because it's plastic. I can just leave it on, and you can wash and stuff. You just can't get it wet, basically. Like this, you can't get wet because it goes soggy and then just falls to bits. Yeah. So there is better technology, but I assume they don't give you the cool technology because it's expensive. So if you can use this, then it's better for them because this costs about 30p and they just throw it away. And the other thing, I have to go in and get fitted and stuff for it tomorrow. So we will see. You
did some ropey looking squats.
Yeah. Actually, it was pretty cool. I've gone loud in my ear again. Actually, it was pretty cool session. But I was trying to think like, how can I keep training with minimal risk of hurting myself and do something that is semi-useful? So I was thinking, well, I don't really want to pull anything with this or risk whacking it on something. But I was thinking squat, probably I can do. So I thought, well, I'll go back to 5-3-1, go back to the old favorite and just super simple. So I picked out my 5-3-1 Forever book, which is a super cool book with like loads and loads and loads of 5-3-1 templates from Jim Wendler book. And I picked one of the original ones that he came up with. This is 5-3-1, boring but big. So it's like squat with squat assistance. So it's squat. And I'm doing it 5's progression, which is the one that I've done before. I do that one and not the one where it goes 5-3 and then 5-3-1.
Yeah.
I do this 5 progression one. So all the percentages, I do 5 reps of all the percentages. So it's basically like 3 sets of 5 warm up, then 3 sets of 5 work set, and then 5 sets of 10 assistance, just all squat, and that's it. And I was like, oh, no, see how long that takes. I don't know, maybe it takes me like 45 minutes or an hour or something like that. 32 minutes. I was like, yeah, I'll do. Pretty sweet. So I whacked through that. Then I was like, okay, so I want to do that. I for sure can't bench. I was thinking, well, maybe I can do push-ups. So I could do push-ups on my knuckles on one hand with the foam on the floor. So I did then on Tuesday push-ups on my knuckles, 5 sets of 10, and pull-ups, 5 sets of 5. Because I've got super weak already. I can't grip with this. So I just put a strap around the bar and just like held on with a monkey grip and took my thumb out of it. But I couldn't really like properly engage with the pull-up. So I just did 5 sets of 5 just to keep doing something. And maybe I can do a row or a shrug or something with this. I'll see you tomorrow when I get the thermoplastic one. But what I can't do is move this at the joint. Like I'm not allowed to do that. So like at the end, I can move it because this is separate. And then the fingers I can move because it's got nothing to do with the rest of it. But I can't mess around with it in the joint apparently. So did push-ups and pull-ups. And then tomorrow I want to try deadlift, but I don't know how that's going to go with a strap.
Did you ask old Garage Gym Oz what sort of strap?
No, but what I did find, and I didn't order because I forgot, was basically like a hook. So you can buy it straps around your wrist, and then it's like just a hook that goes inside. Yeah. So you don't do anything. You could just leave your hand completely straight, and it just like hooks on the bar. So that would be the answer. There was that, and I did find as well. We were talking about him having a deadlift harness. I found those, but they look super weird to get in and out of. Like you kind of put it on the bar and then like get inside it like a pair of braces, but they go across your back, and then you kind of squat it up from there. But I think I might just be able to deadlift, and if I can do that, but I just do some super high rep sets of not a crazy amount, maybe, I don't know, I'll see how it goes. Maybe limit it to 100 kilos. At least I can keep doing something, and I won't like lose everything that I've got up to that. This morning I did some sprints because last week didn't talk about that, did we? Because I must have done that on Saturday, maybe. I did 4x800 meter sprints and then 4x50 from the Ross training program, that infinite intensity one. And then this morning I did the next session of the sprints, which is 6x400 and 5x50. And my legs, man, from the 531 on Sunday,
squats and sprints.
Yesterday they hurt, and today they were like hurting already when I went to go and sprint. And then after sprints, Jesus Christ, I was destroyed. So I thought, well, I'll just warm up. I'll like try and warm up slowly and see if I can get to a position where I can actually sprint. So I did the first lap in like 2 minutes, but it felt super slow, but super awkward as well, because I was like running on my heels, which I don't really like to do. But I was nervous as well because I blew my calf out last time, didn't I, when I was running on my toes. And I was nervous about running on my toes because I thought I don't want to blow my calf out again as well, because that would be terrible. So I warmed up running on my heels, like heel to toe, and then went like progressively to midfoot and then to my forefoot when I was doing the short sprints. But I actually felt pretty good in the end. That a part of a part of listening to all these learning processes on that Huberman Lab podcast was just paying more attention to what I was doing running. And then it felt like I made quite a lot of progress. I got a video of that today to post of like the last set of sprints I did on the 50, and actually felt pretty good. Although it's funny because I timed it and it took me over 10 seconds to sprint 50 meters. And I remember doing that I think like the fastest I ever did at school was like 14, but for 100 meters. I was thinking, however slow am I going? And for the first 400 I did, took 2 minutes to go 400 meters. Like, however slow is that, man? 2 minutes for 400 meters. That's an 8-minute mile, but I didn't run a mile. Do you know what I mean? I ran one lap. So I managed to get that down to like 1:33, concentrating a little bit, but my legs were battered and they're still bad. I couldn't walk in the office today. I was trying to walk around, couldn't walk. So that obviously does something. But I really like sprints. That was one of the things that I was doing when I was training for MMA that made a big difference. Sprints. But I remember being able to send it as well for like the whole distance, because the distances work down from 800. You do like 4x8, 6x4, 8x200, and they've all got 50 meters. And then the last one is like 10x100. And I remember doing that, but I wasn't doing 100 meters. I was doing a rugby pitch at Kingston when I was there, and just sending it like for the whole set of 10 sprints at 100, like absolutely just hammering it. And today I could barely run around the 200. I was getting to barely run the 400. I was getting to 225 meters on the floor. And for some reason, every time I ran past 225 meters, I was just like completely empty. Yeah. It was nuts, man. Completely empty. So that, at least I can work on that while this is done, even if I can't deadlift and stuff like that. I think that's actually quite a useful thing to work on. Sprints are pretty
explosive, isn't it?
Cool. Yeah, I think it's just a good conditioning tool to use in it, and then like you say, as well, a bit of explosive and super lungy, man. For 200 meters, so I'm only running for like 1:35 or something like that. I was absolutely blown. And then what I try and do as well is run the last 100 as hard as I can. But God damn, that is rough. But yeah, I got down to 1 minute 33 for 400, which is not fast by any stretch, but it's like a 6 minute mile isn't actually ridiculously slow if you could actually do it for a mile.
It's good.
So pretty cool. But I noticed as well that because I broke my ankle twice on the right hand side and broke my leg at the top, didn't I? That my stride is really weird. And
I just imagine you running like Phoebe out of Friends. I don't know if you've seen that
it's
episode.
probably even worse than that. I think my arms go straight, but my legs look like an egg whisk. I don't know what's going on with the legs. Well, you can see because I need to post today as well.
Yes.
I'll post what shall I post? Shall I post my Wang arm push-ups and pull-ups, or shall I post my Phoebe run? I'll post the Phoebe run. I got that from this morning.
Yeah, go for a run. People haven't seen you run enough. They've seen you doing pull-ups.
Do they need to see me run at all? That's the question. Well, what is quite interesting about it, and this is the thing that I like a lot about doing new things, is that hopefully I'll get better quite fast.
Yes.
Let's see. So that is basically all my training so far, because I've only been training for 4 days back on.
Yeah, and I when you said about we haven't talked about it yet because you did it on the Saturday, because we've got the days different on these now. I think I told you about it, but we didn't speak about it, about the actual engine and the weightlifting class that I did. But I think we've gone far enough over and I'm starting to get tired now.
Yeah, you look a bit tired, dude. I bored the life out of you with my sprint story.
Yeah, I'm just powering down. I got up at 6, trained, worked. I've got some t-shirts to do as well.
Oh, I've got a post as well.
Let's
call it a day.
Sitting here yakking, yak.
No one's even listening anyway.
The
whole internet's turned off.
I completely forgot. Yeah, just shut it off. It's 9 o'clock. Got 13 minutes till the internet turns off. Yeah, I thought we'd already talked about it. I'm getting confused with my days, but I can talk about it. Hopefully I'm gonna go tomorrow to another one. But it was cool. I liked the technical stuff, because you did weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting class and stuff. I remember you going to like a gym.
Yep,
had it.
I have done it with a really good guy called his name is like Josue Joshua Farfan, who was I think a Masters Olympic champion in Barcelona Games some years ago, and he had a little gym in Barcelona, and we used to go there and train with him. He's a proper badass. He's now living in Ireland, and I think he's still Masters champion, or has been for a few years running. Like super strong, like insanely strong. He's like 50 kilos, and I don't know what he snatched, something insane for 50 kilos. He's like atomic ant, super strong. Yeah, and really cool guy. Be cool to import him over to Yarmouth at some point. So I did quite a few classes with him, but at the time I was just completely insane. So I was doing all the weightlifting stuff, and then for some reason after the weightlifting, which was pretty nuts, the program that we were doing, I would then do like a 5x5 program. You know, like the is it Bill Starr one, where you then do squat, bench, deadlift, and it's like on the first day it's like squat, row, pull up or something like that, and the next the deadlift day is like deadlift, pull up, and then it's squat, row, something else. So we do the Olympic stuff, which was huge, plus that on top. No, completely ruined myself.
Get it.
And then I did some in Spain as well at the CrossFit place with, I think that guy's name was Josh as well. Maybe that's just a
big in the
standard name.
I'm gonna write it on my list. Weightlifting. Was that your stomach?
Yes.
Was it?
I haven't eaten anything.
Microphone is sensitive.
Super sensitive. I come straight here from melting my brain into a pub in a German class. So.
Right. We'll leave that milker in the bin. Get that out.
In the bin outside. Didn't make it.
Let the rats have that now.
Back out. Yeah. I think that was what crippled me, basically, was that. So
that is
stay there.
Gar nicht gut.
Yeah, gar nicht gut. Yeah.
All right, mate. Dude. I'm going to sign it off.
All right.
We already did all this like and subscribe stuff at the start.
Yeah, we don't need to do that now.
We can do it again. Just remember to like and subscribe, follow, and buy.
If you missed it, like and subscribe, will you? Jesus Christ, what we got?
Jeez,
Last 400 times. Do me a favour. Just like, man. It doesn't cost you anything. You're on YouTube for free anyway. You're flicking down, looking at all the comments now. Just click the like button.
Not even got premium. All right.
Wait,
See you later.
Hey, bye.